Kia ora, folks. Welcome. I'm Daley Rangi, the new literary associate here at Griffin Theatre Company as of a couple of months ago. Today, I'm hosting workshop 1 of 3 on how to strengthen your Griffin Award applications. Today, we're looking at how to write a knockout pitch for the Griffin Award 2026. This isn't just what to write, but how to think about what your play is really doing. This is a creative workout, not a lecture, so we'll stop, think, and write together. When I say pause me now, actually pause me. Grab a pen, jot down ideas. Get comfy, you can do this in your kitchen, in a cafe, on your couch. You don't need a full play, you just need that spark. So, the Griffin Award celebrates bold, contemporary Australian voices. It's not a finished script competition anymore, it's a commission. That means if you win, you get dramaturgical and creative development support with us, a process of exploration, workshops, readings to help bring your idea to life. Each year, between 100 and 200 playwrights apply. The winners are never the most polished, they're the most alive. So by the end of this workshop, you'll know how to find your play's heart, what it's really about, shape your dramatic question, what's keeping it moving, define your premise, what the story is looking to prove, articulate why it's live and for theatre, and build your 2-page, 5-minute video pitch ready for submission. Grab your notebook, ready? I'm serious, go do it. Pause the video now. Let's go. So every play has a heartbeat, an emotion that makes it matter. We start here because if you can name that, everything else gets a little bit easier. So we're going to start with the heart sentence. Write these 2 lines. At its heart, the play is about ... What it's really about is ... The first line is about story, the plot. The second is about truth, what that story means underneath. It hurts a little bit more. So for example, I'm going to use a play idea called The Night Shift throughout this workshop. And in The Night Shift, at its heart, this play is about 2 night shift workers trying to stay human inside a system that wants them to be machines. What it's really about is how friendship becomes rebellion in small, ordinary ways. You'll notice the first line tells us what happens, the second tells us why we care. At its heart, this play is about ... What it's really about is ... Pause the video, answer those 2 questions. So often we can confuse what happens in a play with what it's about. If you wrote, for example, it's about a woman losing her job, go deeper. What is that really about? Is it about shame, survival, dignity? That's your second sentence. So, looking at the why now, why you, keeping in mind that our next workshop will be all about this. This is going to turn your play from an idea into a reason to exist. Ask yourself, why now? What's urgent about it? Why you? Why are you the right person to tell it? And 3, what happens if you don't tell it? What's at stake for you? An example might be, because my parents worked nights and never got noticed, or because I'm tired of seeing workers written as background characters, or because I've seen kindness turn into exploitation. Why now? Why you? What happens if you don't tell it? For example, for The Night Shift, I'm writing this play now because people are being measured by speed, not care. I want to show the beauty and exhaustion of ordinary labour. This is going to give your pitch soul. It tells us what keeps you up at night. Pause the video now. Now we're going to look at tone. Tone tells us how the play feels. It helps us imagine what sitting in the theatre, when you eventually get it up, will be like. So write down emotion, style, like, image. So for example, furious, funny, like a protest that becomes karaoke. Tender, eerie, like a prayer in a service station. Or wry, electric, like friendship under fluorescent light, for our example in The Night Shift. Emotion, style, like image. Pause the video, give it a go. Now write down, it begins tone A, it ends tone B. It begins this way, it ends feeling this way. So for example, for the night shift, it begins routine, it ends like a small act of revolution. How does your idea begin? What tone? How does it end? Pause the video now. Then finally, when the lights come up, I want the audience to ... What do you want the audience to do after they experience your work or feel? When the lights come up, I want the audience to what? For example, for the night shift, when the lights come up, I want the audience to notice who's still working while they sleep. This is going to help you define the emotional arc. Pause the video now. Now we've looked at the heart of your work. Now we need to find the engine. What's keeping the play alive? The dramatic question is the ongoing tension that's going to pull us through the story. It's the question the play is testing, not the one it answers easily. So, step 1. We build it from character, from your protagonist. Ask yourself, 1, who wants something? 2, what stands in their way? 3, what happens if they fail or succeed? 1, who wants something? 2, what stands in their way? 3, what happens if they fail or succeed? For example, for the night shift, who, it's Jazz, a night shift worker. Want, to protect her friend Macca and keep her job. Obstacle, an algorithm that measures her worth. If she fails, she disappears into the system. If she succeeds, she exposes it but loses Macca. The question becomes, can loyalty survive when survival demands silence? Who wants something? What stands in their way? What happens if they fail or succeed? And how do you turn that into a single, concise, exciting, dramatic question? Pause the video now. So why do we do this? Your play's plot is what happens. The dramatic question is why we watch it unfold, to see what happens when those two forces collide. So step 2, what's being tested? Ask yourself, what belief does your character hold? What belief does the world hold? What happens when they clash? Some examples, Prima Facie by Susie Miller. Can justice survive a system built to silence truth? City of Gold by Maine Wyatt. Can truth-telling heal what the world denies? And for our example in the night shift, can dignity survive in a world that rewards obedience? What belief does your character hold? What belief does the world hold? And what happens when they clash? You'll notice that each of those examples pits a personal value against a social system. Pause the video. Step 3, movement. So for example, a weaker question is, will she find her mother? Because that's very answerable. It's either a yes or a no. And that's good to know in terms of plot points, but not in terms of your dramatic question. A stronger example might be, can forgiveness exist after betrayal? It's testable, it's emotional, but not always answerable. Ask yourself, can your question evolve throughout the work? And can it be answered through action, not explanation? Can it be answered through what people do, not just what they say? Pause the video. Step 4, your question should also be connected into 3 layers. So there's the personal, the social, the philosophical. The personal for the night shift might be, can Jazz stay kind in a place built for compliance? That's your protagonist. The social, can dignity survive in a world that rewards obedience? That's the zoomed out social lens. And then there's the philosophical, the universal human condition. What happens when survival demands silence? So you end up with 3 different lenses on the same question. Each layer will give the play depth. That personal is the emotional core, social is the context, and the philosophical is that timeless universal truth. Try writing down the personal, social, and philosophical layers of your question. Pause the video. Next, looking at the pressure point. Try writing the moment where your main character can't win either way. They have to make a choice, but can lose. If they do this, they lose ... If they don't do it, they lose ... For example, in the night shift, if Jazz deletes the footage, she saves Macca but betrays herself. If she doesn't delete the footage, they both lose everything. This is going to help you find the climax, the heart of your pitch. If they do it, they lose this. If they don't, they lose that. Pause the video. You might also want to look at the collision of beliefs within your work. So you might want to do 3 columns. 1 column, character believes this. 2nd column, world believes this. 3rd column, you suspect this. So, for example, you might have speaking up saves, which is what the character believes. The world then believes silence protects, and you suspect that both might be the case. Write down some examples in relation to your idea. And then you can turn that into a line. This play lives where this and this collide, where those 2 beliefs collide. So for example, for the night shift, this play lives where obedience meets friendship. What's the collision in your work, the tension? Pause the video now. Finally, it's important to look at the stakes of the work. What happens if they fail? And what happens if they succeed? And who else pays a price in that process? An example for a work might be, if my protagonist fails, the town burns. If she succeeds, the truth burns. If my protagonist fails, he disappears. If he succeeds, he destroys what he loves. What happens if your protagonist fails? What happens if they succeed? Who else pays the price? Pause the video. Now it's worth reflecting. Read your dramatic question aloud. Ask yourself, does it move through the entire story? Does it cost something? And can it only exist live? If yes, you found your play's spine. Now you start to look at the premise of your work. The premise is your dramatic question resolved through cause and effect. It's the moral physics of your play. What truth it's out to prove. We do this to help your story feel inevitable, not random. The first exercise is to look at cause and effect. Write down, because human drive, consequence results. Because human drive, consequence results. Or because cause, effect results. An example might be, in night shift, because obedience feels safer than hope, silence becomes deadly. Or in another example, because guilt fuels ambition, cruelty becomes policy. Or because love becomes ownership, a family fractures. Because cause, effect results. Pause the video. Now you want to sharpen that, make it playable. Avoid abstractions like power or identity, get specific. Use verbs and sensory worlds. A weaker example might be, love leads to loss. Sure. A better version of that might be, a man's attempt to protect love turns his home into a cage. How can you sharpen your premise? Pause the video. So your premise is going to shape what an audience is being asked to feel or face. What are we testing with the audience? Because in writing a play, you're asking to sit with an audience and engage in an experiment. Some examples of what you might be testing with an audience are, would you do the same? When does care become control? What would you risk to say, stay human? What are you asking the audience here? For the night shift, if the premise is, because obedience feels safer than hope, silence becomes deadly, the audience question might be, what would you risk to keep your job or your soul? What are we testing with the audience? What are they being asked to feel or to face? Pause the video now. Now you want to start to sketch out a bit of a story, map your story arc. And an easy way to do that is to sketch out some five key beats. The ordinary world that we're dropped into, the catalyst or the incident that incites everything, the escalation, the crisis, and the aftermath. So the ordinary world, number 1, 2, the catalyst, 3, the escalation, 4, the crisis, 5, the aftermath. And you can be as detailed as you'd like within this, but start nice and simple. So for example, for the night shift, the ordinary world we're dropped into is Jazz and Macca restock shelves under cameras. The catalyst is a new AI finds them for inefficiency. 3, they start sabotaging the system. 4, the AI adapts and Macca is fired. And 5, the aftermath is Jazz must choose between loyalty and survival. Start to sketch out 5 key beats. Write at least 1 line for each. Pause the video. Now we need to make it theatre. Why can't this story exist as a film, a podcast, or an essay? This is going to help us feel the liveness of your idea. So try a little exercise. Write down, this story must be live because ... For example, this story must be live because the audience's silence becomes part of the story. This story must be live because the actor's exhaustion mirrors the character's labour. This story must be live because truth changes depending on who's in the room. The story must be live because ... For the night shift, the example might be, this story must be live because the audience becomes the surveillance system. Their gaze is what keeps the lights on. Pause the video now. Now you want to think about what your contract is with the audience. In this play, the audience is ... I want them to leave feeling ... For example, for the night shift, in this play, the audience is the surveillance feed. I want them to leave feeling implicated, but hopeful. What is your audience contract? In this play, the audience is ... I want them to leave feeling ... Pause the video now. It might also be useful to think about stage images. What is the first image in the work, and what is the last image? What do we start with? What are we left with? And how does that mirror your cause and effect in your premise? So for example, the first image in the night shift might be 2 workers restocking under blue light. And the last image might be Jazz films herself instead of the cameras. Write down your first image and your last image. Do a few examples. Pause the video. Now we want to look at putting it all together. So your pitch would be about 800 to 1,000 words, roughly 2 pages or a 5-minute video. Think of it as a mini play in itself, or even a short story about your play. It should make us say, I can see it, I can feel it, I want to watch it. Here's an example of how you might structure that, but you don't have to follow this exactly. 1. What is your story pulse? What happens and who does it happen to? 2. What's the dramatic engine? What drives it? 3. What's the theatrical life? Why is it live? And 4. Personal connection. Why you? Why now? So, with your story pulse, it could be useful to use a template such as this. In a world where pressure, protagonist wants something urgent, but when event happens, they must act before cost. In a world where pressure, protagonist wants something urgent, but when event happens, they must act before cost. As an example, for the night shift, in a Western Sydney supermarket, 2 night workers try to survive under a new AI surveillance system. Jazz wants peace and stability and to pay her rent, but when the tech starts punishing inefficiency and wasted seconds, she snaps. A prank spirals into rebellion as the machines begin to learn from them. What is your story pulse? Write a paragraph or 2. Pause the video. Now looking at your dramatic engine. This is where your dramatic question tests your premise. So you'll write down, at its core, play title asks dramatic question. It tests the idea that premise. So for example, for the night shift, at its core, the night shift asks, can friendship survive in a system built for control? It tests the idea that obedience feels safer than hope until silence turns deadly. This is where you use your dramatic question and your premise you wrote down before. Pause the video now. 3. Theatrical life. So this is where you answer, the story belongs on stage because in this play the audience is, when the lights come up, I want them to. This is where you combine those three together. For the night shift, this story belongs on stage because the audience becomes the system watching. Their gaze keeps the lights on. Their silence becomes the soundtrack. The story belongs on stage because in this play the audience is, when the lights come up, I want them to. Pause the video now. And 4, you might follow up with the why now, why you. Keeping in mind, again, that we'll have a workshop on this next week. I'm writing this play because. Now is the right time because. I'm writing this play because ... Now is the right time because ... For the night shift, for example, I'm writing this play because my friends and family work nights, unseen and undervalued. It feels urgent now because automation is replacing empathy. Pause the video now. Now you might like to look at a story arc snapshot. There might be multiple of these, but you want to go at first, belief, then event, finally, change. For the night shift, at first, Jazz believes silence keeps her safe. Then, the cameras turn on her. Finally, she realizes silence is complicity. This is a way to look at your story arc without having to get into the full detailed synopsis. And then at the end, you want to read that draft aloud of your pitch. Ask yourself, do I know who it's about? Can I feel the tension and tone? And does it sound alive? Read it out aloud to yourself or to someone else. See if they can answer that as well. Pause the video. So now the actual detail of submitting to the Griffin Award. So applications will open Tuesday, 2nd of December, 2025, in just under a month. And what you'll be asked to submit is indeed a 2-page pitch or a 5-minute video. You'll be asked to answer a couple of short questions going into more detail about what your play is about and what made you want to write it. And you'll also be asked for a 15 to 20-page sample, which shows your voice, energy, theatrical imagination, testing out your idea on paper. Keeping in mind that our 3rd workshop on Tuesday, November 25th, will help you start to explore that. To be eligible for the award, your play must be unproduced and unpublished, must be imagined as a full-length play, so over 60 minutes, be by an Australian citizen or permanent resident, and not already be a part of our Griffin development programs such as Studio. So a few more final reflections. Ask yourself, 1, what's my play's emotional truth? 2, what tension is driving it? 3, why must it exist live? And 4, why am I the one to tell it? And in reflecting on those, write down these 3 lines. The thing I'm most afraid to say in my pitch is, the thing I want people to feel is, if this play exists, it will change ... because ... Pause the video, try and answer those 3 things. That's the truth we're looking for. So, over the last however long you've spent writing with this workshop, you've just turned instinct into language. And that's real work. As I said earlier, the work is the work, get writing. Just know that we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for potential. If your idea excites you, it'll excite us. So just to remind you, we've got upcoming workshops. So next Tuesday, November 18th, there'll be the Why Now with Jordan Shea. He'll help you explore how to ground your story in urgency and context. Why this play and why now? Help you shape relevance without turning it into a lecture. Then on Tuesday, November 25th, you'll look at the first 20 pages with Mary Rachel Brown, where you'll learn how to hook readers into your sample pages, how to establish tone, tension, and world within those first 20 minutes or so. Both are free online sessions available on demand on YouTube. We'll have details via our website and social media as well. Just want to remind you, every one of your favourite plays started as a seed, as a spark, as a bad first draft. So we're here to help you fan it into something bright and alive. Thank you so much for joining me. Please feel free to reach out if you've got any questions about the award process. And happy writing. We can't wait to read your work. Now, Go make some trouble. Go write the thing only you can write.